Drugs. See your girl in the park. System overload.
This is Sean O'Malley, and you're watching Full-Time MMA. Don't be a bagel-biting, bagel-bitch boy, bagel-bitch back.
Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Full-time MMA? Nothing else.
My life, man, yeah.
Nobody fucking with me, yeah. I'm about to go be Stipe, yeah. Moving up to heavyweight, yeah. And I am destined to be great, yeah. And if you didn't know, they call me DC. And there's no one that you know that can beat me. Yeah, I fought Jon Jones, but was he clean? I don't think so. What's in that PP? Steroids, cocaine, probably weed. Testosterone, dick pills, and speed. And shrooms, and pills, and codeine. Goddamn, Jon turned into a dope fiend. And Stipe's about to turn into a folding chair. When I fold him up, I'ma win 2 belts and hold him up. On my champ shit, Connor knows what's up, little bitch.
Oh, I was fucking muted. But while I was saying, it wasn't that long. You guys still heard the song. That was to get the show started. All I was saying was pretty much, if you haven't yet finished biting your bagel, smash the like button. Salute to Israel A. Yadong, Jorge 1, and Mr. Perfect 2005. Salute to the full-time family. Alright, so, not too long of a show today. Maybe hour. We don't have a whole lot to talk about. Some interesting things. You might see in the title it says Daniel Cormier stripped with a question mark, because we do know that that is a very real possibility and a very likely possibility that Daniel Cormier will be stripped soon. It is not official, but salute to Reddit MMA because they brought this to my attention. Not to my attention, but I was browsing and I saw it on the UFC's official website at light heavyweight. It says, to be determined. Now, to our knowledge, Daniel Cormier is currently the light heavyweight and the heavyweight champion. So with that being said, the UFC, maybe you know what I'm saying, they're getting ready for the Jon Jones versus Gustafsson fight. I don't know exactly what goes into them testing out these. We've seen this before. I mean, this actually, some people pointed out that the Valentina Shevchenko versus Sarge Eubanks fight was canceled first on the website before they actually canceled the fight. But at the same time, at the same token, we've seen sometimes this site gets updated, like this update like this, and it's just testing things out, and it gets changed back. So this is just something interesting that was noted. The UFC says light heavyweight champion to be determined, and with Daniel Cormier even, you know, letting us know, hey, I probably won't be the light heavyweight champion for too much longer. You know, after he fights Derek Lewis, he'll likely be stripped of his title. Now, if he loses to Derek Lewis, that could throw a whole monkey wrench into all of those plans, because then he would probably want to keep that light heavyweight belt and defend it. So we shall see. But with that being said, let's start with the first topic we have of the day. Khabib's manager saying that he wants $50 million for his next fight. And I hear him, you know, and Khabib, he's not the guy that's really money. He's not in it for the money, but you know what I'm saying? Even if you're not in it for the money, that's when it's good to have a team, right? You know, you might be in it to be the best. You want to be the very best, right? Like no one ever was. But you got a team, you got a family, you got people you look out for, and they're going to tell you, hey, Khabib, listen, I get it. You want to be the best that no one ever was, but we need some cash, and you're worth a lot of money right now. You know, you got a lot of leverage. You just beat the UFC's, you just smashed Conor. I mean, you deserve a lot of money at this point. You're one of the biggest stars in the sport. You might want to see what you can get, you know, so they negotiate for Khabib. Now, with that being said, Khabib's manager says they want $50 million. Now, I can tell you a couple of things. For one, what it tells me at least is it's not going to be a fight with Tony Ferguson if this is true. I don't think Khabib's getting $50 million for a fight that's not against Floyd Mayweather, Conor McGregor, or George St. Pierre. And there is actually rumors, if you listen to yesterday's show, there's reports, not even just rumors. MMA Team Dagestan was reporting Khabib versus GSP is in the works. That's closer to 50 million. A lot closer than Tony Ferguson, which is the fight that ideally, if it were a perfect world and we could actually get the fight to fucking go through, we would love to see Ferguson versus Khabib. Ferguson is for sure the #1 contender. Got stripped of his interim lightweight title on some baby back bullshit. But he came back, defeated Pettis, looked great while doing it. So now you're like, all right, let's get him this title shot finally. But this is where politics come into play and money. If you want $50 million, it's not going to be with Ferguson. If the UFC or you want the biggest legacy fight possible and GSP's down for it, you probably fight GSP over Ferguson. Even if Ferguson is who you think deserves the fight, you would look at GSP, of course. McGregor rematch, I'm not too into. But he's even been talking about boxing Mayweather. And that's going to get you a lot closer to $50 million than Ferguson as well. And also, even though Ferguson is the fight we want to see, a lot of people want to see, and even put the $50 million aside, because you're definitely not getting $50 million to fight Tony Ferguson. But that's a hard fight to book because they've already booked it 4 times and it never went through. Both of these guys have pulled out twice with injury, weight, whatever the issue was. This fight has been booked 4 times and it's never happened. So it's kind of hard to put all your eggs into that basket. So that kind of takes a little bit away from the possibility of booking the Ferguson fight, although it's still there because a lot of the fans want to see it, and even Dana White is saying that that's the fight, which we'll talk about coming up. Now, with that being said, let's read Khabib's quote, or his manager's quote. It says, Ben Askren, Woodley, none of these guys can touch Khabib, especially if they're scared to get tired, and these guys, they get tired. Now, I'm not even worried about Tyron or Ben Askren. I'm worrying about somebody bringing 50 to 100 million to the table, and none of these guys can bring 200,000 to the table. Yo, he's spitting. Ali Abdelaziz be spitting that heat. He said they can't even bring 200,000 to the table. He said, listen, the guy we just fought said he made 50 million. I think as a global superstar, Khabib bypass him. You have a guy meeting with Putin and Erdogan, and the other guy selling liquor to on the corner store. It's not even the fucking same planet. Good for him. Whatever. It's none of our business. He do what he does. We try to go to Africa. We try different things. It's not even close. Well, to be fair, McGregor's not just selling liquor on the corner. If you want to talk about meeting with Putin, actually kind of did that first, right? Leading up to the fight, Conor met with Putin. Khabib was with the fans in the stands. After the fight, Putin was like, what up, Khabib? What up? You know what I'm saying? But Conor met with him first, so just pointing that out. But he says, at the end of the day, maybe a whole bunch of money gets on the table. Maybe the rematch, I don't know. Maybe we'll give a rematch to the guy we just killed. Whatever's going to bring Khabib money, this is now my job. It's not Khabib's job. Khabib created legacy, 11 years, 27 fights. Right now, money talks, bullshit walks, that's it. So, even if Khabib's not in it for the money, clearly his team is going to make the biggest money decision. Which, okay, that works. It's not about the money for Khabib, but they are in a position, you know what I'm saying? It's not Khabib making the decisions at this point. It's his team. It's his father. Shit, Putin might have a damn say in. I don't know. I'm just saying. Even if it's not Khabib's #1 goal to make a lot of money, sounds like his manager's #1 goal is to make Khabib a lot of money at this point. So he says, we're going to give $1 million to get wells and help with schools, concluded Ali Abdelaziz. Going to go to Africa probably at the end of this year, beginning of next year. And this is the most important thing. Khabib wants to touch lives. Khabib can now retire. He's rich. But if somebody's going to get a big paycheck on the table, we can get it done. I don't care about #1 contender, #10 contender. Khabib was #1 contender for 5 years. Conor jumped him. Eddie jumped him. A lot of people jumped him. Right now, it's about the paycheck. Wow. This is kind of interesting. Whenever he puts it like that, right? Because you wouldn't think Khabib would agree with the shit he's saying, but we'll see who he fights. But he said we don't care about #1 contender, #10 contender. That's not, well, you know, Khabib is a guy that does care about the contender and doesn't care about the money. Well, now his manager's coming out and saying the exact opposite. Now that Khabib's beat Conor, now his manager's saying we want the money, we don't care about contenders. But the whole leading up, Khabib was, I'll fight Poirier, humble Conor, fight the #1 contender. I don't care about money. It's not about money. Now it's like, who's going to bring 50 to 100 million? Fuck the #1 contender. I don't care if it's number 10. Bring me the money. But this is Khabib's manager. Interesting. So we'll move on from that. But still staying on Khabib, Dana White says that he believes Tony Ferguson versus Khabib is the right fight. Dana White spoke up and he says, Tony Ferguson's the right fight. Tony Ferguson didn't lose the belt in a fight. It's the right fight, he told TMZ. And it's true, it was a great fight versus Pettis. It's Khabib versus Ferguson. That's the fight to make. We'll see how this whole thing plays out with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. It's obviously going to depend on the suspension, what happens, and we'll see. So, if Khabib wasn't going to get suspended, then maybe we see Ferguson versus Khabib soon. But what I think is if Khabib gets like a 6-month suspension, Tony Ferguson's going to have to fight someone else in the meantime, in between time. And it might be Dustin Poirier. Yeah, probably be Poirier, right? I mean, because the other top contenders are Kevin Lee, Justin Gaethje. I mean, we could see Ferguson versus Gaethje. I mean, that could be, but I mean, as far as the top contenders are concerned, if you're talking about who deserves to fight for the belt, there's actually 2 guys, right? There's Tony Ferguson and there's Dustin Poirier. That's who's actually could get the title shot with no politics bullshit. If they needed a fighter who was the #1 contender, we ain't looking at nothing else. It's going to be Poirier or it's going to be Ferguson. So maybe those guys fight for the actual fucking #1 contendership. It's crazy, this Shark Tank that these guys are in. Like, the fights that Poirier has had to go through, Ferguson is on a 12-fight winning streak, all to get to the #1 contender. There's some champions that don't do this shit. You know what I'm saying? These guys are going through the Shark's tank, and who's going to come out on top, man? Crazy. So Ferguson versus Poirier might happen depending on how Khabib Nevada State Athletic Commission hearing goes. But if it goes good, which probably won't, then Dana White is saying Ferguson versus Khabib is the fight to make. He says, I haven't even thought about the McGregor rematch. Obviously, I know Conor wants a rematch. We need to do what's right and what's fair. We'll see how it plays out. We literally haven't thought about it yet. And that was Dana White after the fight. So, yeah, with that being said, we'll move on to the next topic. Let me pull up the chat, see what the family's talking about. Forward in the building, Yosa L. Arpit Singh says Tony versus Khabib is the fight to make. Forward says, hopefully this is just some posturing from Ali. Otherwise, he's ruining Khabib's fighter image, which isn't that in sport except for to us hardcores. And well, that's what I was kind of getting at that a little earlier when I was like, all right, you know, because people were like, after he won the belt, still, like Khabib started talking about slapping up Mayweather and slapping up Lesnar, and that kind of goes toward what he's saying. If Khabib is going along with his team, and they're like, yo, we need to get you the most money possible, then he's going to slap up Brock Lesnar in the WWE, or he's going to box Floyd Mayweather, even though that's got nothing to do with his MMA legacy. But you're like, okay, maybe that's just promotion, something, right? Maybe Khabib's just seeing if there's an interest in it. You know, he was gauging the interest possibly. And if there was a big interest in him boxing, maybe we saw it. But sticking to MMA, yeah, man, I agree with you. It's the opposite of what we look at as Khabib. Khabib's image is, his fighter image is a guy that doesn't care about the money and a guy that's going to fight the contender. And yeah, that's the exact opposite. So, but and you know, it would be crazy, right? Because if Khabib switches up to be a guy that's only fighting the biggest fights for the money and shit, then who can you believe in, right? If Khabib is, you know, you looked at him as a guy that wasn't in it for the money, was going to fight the #1 contender, humble the game, and now that he's actually in the position that McGregor was in, now that he actually took his spot, it seems like he's going to be doing the same thing that people criticized McGregor for, that people criticize even GSP now. They say he's coming back and picking the biggest fights and the best fights. Well, yeah, if Khabib comes back and he does that, then yeah, that might be bad to the hardcores for his image, but I don't know how much, you know what I'm saying, the hardcores, we're hardcores, but yeah, the hardcores don't really run shit as far as business is concerned, because we're usually going to buy every card, watch every card regardless, so that's not really who most people at the top are interested in. But yeah, we'll see if Khabib switches up, or But it's kind of like, you know, it's his manager speaking out. So unless he is disagreeing with his manager, you know what I'm saying? I actually think that's what's probably going to happen. I think he's probably going to take a bigger fight. It would be dope, though, to see Khabib versus Ferguson. You know, Dana White saying that's the fight to make. We shall see. But we definitely have to wait until December, which is when Khabib's Nevada State Athletic Commission hearing is. And we got to see how the suspension goes and how all of that plays out. And so we got a lot going on in the meantime, including UFC 230. Daniel Cormier versus Derek Lewis. Now, with that being said, put this shit out for a second, man. With that being said, there was talks of potentially Brock Lesnar showing up to UFC 230 because the thought is, what happens if Derek Lewis wins, right? Now, yeah, Daniel Cormier is a big favorite. A lot of people expect Daniel Cormier to win this fight. But Derek Lewis is a guy you can't count out. And he's definitely got knockout power. He can for sure knock DC out. If DC gets caught, what happens then? Because we already saw whenever Daniel Cormier at UFC 226 knocked out Stipe Miocic and became the double champ, Brock Lesnar came in the octagon and pushed Daniel Cormier across. That's promotion for a potential super fight. Brock Lesnar's supposed to be coming back to the UFC, and when he does, he's probably fighting Daniel Cormier. Well, now what happens if Daniel Cormier loses to Derek Lewis? We might need another fucking Brock Lesnar promo. So there's talks of Brock Lesnar potentially being cage side just in case shit, like as insurance, like maybe if DC loses. Well, what if you bring Brock Lesnar and DC wins? What do we do? A fucking second promo? Well, Daniel Cormier's talking about that situation a little bit, and he's saying he might slap Brock Lesnar. He says, I heard Brock Lesnar will be at the Garden for UFC 230. If he tries to step in that cage again, I'm going to slap him in his face. I own one from last time. So that'd be interesting. Or if Brock Lesnar doesn't make the move this time, shit, maybe Daniel Cormier takes a page out of his teammate Khabib's book and jumps over the cage. Maybe not with the flying eagle kick. Maybe like a belly flop. DC belly flop onto Brock Lesnar. I don't think it'd be a riot. I think it'd just be he lands, and I don't think people would expect Daniel Cormier like to start a brawl. I think he would just want to get the belly flop off. So we'll see. But Daniel Cormier is saying if he tries to step in the octagon, he's gonna slap him again. So with that being said, Daniel Cormier fighting at UFC 230, and if he should beat Derek Lewis, he's expected to be stripped of his light heavyweight title, which would clear the way for Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson, who are fighting at UFC 232 now with Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes. Well, what title are they fighting for? As of right now, they're supposed to be fighting for Daniel Cormier's light heavyweight belt. But the only way that changes is if if Derek Lewis, you know, he could fucking come in here and shake up a whole lot of plans, boy. If Derek Lewis knocks out Daniel Cormier, holy shit, it's going to shake up the UFC's world. Because right now, as planned, right, it's supposed to be, they got the, they're looking forward to Cormier versus Lesnar, and that's going to allow them to strip Cormier and have Gustafsson fight Jones for his belt. But if Derek Lewis comes in here and knocks out Daniel Cormier and takes that heavyweight belt, that would, for one, mean you probably don't strip Daniel Cormier, because now that's his only belt he has left. Which means now Gustafsson versus Jones probably aren't, they're going to have to fight for an interim title. And then, if Derek Lewis wins, do you still have Cormier versus Lesnar, or do you have to do Derek Lewis, Black Beast versus White Beast versus, holy shit. So, with that being said, there's a lot at stake at UFC 230. Derek Lewis is someone you never want to count out, so it's still going to be a fun fight regardless of the short notice and everything. I'm looking forward to it. And with that being said, then if you look at the UFC's rankings, if you look at light heavyweight, it still says champion Daniel Cormier, right? Also here, it still has Colby Covington listed as the interim champion. And Dana White, I believe, just the same case with Khabib versus Iaquinta. He said as soon as the first punch is thrown, McGregor will be stripped. Well, Khabib wins, McGregor stripped, Khabib's the champion. We know how that played out. Also, Ferguson was stripped. Well, Dana White, I believe, also said the same thing about Woodley versus Till. As soon as the first punch is thrown, Colby Covington will be stripped. Well, Woodley won. Covington wasn't stripped. I heard some fans saying, I believe it was on Reddit, they were like, what Dana White meant was, as soon as Darren Till wins, Covington will be stripped. Or as soon as Darren Till lands a punch, Covington will be stripped, because Darren Till didn't land a punch in the first round, so that was a joke. But, yeah, Covington did not get stripped. Woodley's still the champion. Covington interim champion. But now, if you go to the UFC... Come on, dog. You ain't got to do the squeaking toy. I'm live, homie. Come on, Prince. Right? We got to chill. We got to do the squeaky toy. Alright. My bad. Dog's just tripping. If you go to UFC.com/fighters and you go to title holders, they got light heavyweight listed with no Daniel Cormier, which is, you know, have some fans speculating, oh shit, is Daniel Cormier already stripped, like behind the scenes, or what's going on with Daniel Cormier's light heavyweight title? Is this just like a fucking typo on the UFC's website, which we have seen in the past? Now, we have seen typos on the UFC's website in the past, but we've also seen accurateness in the past, right? So, no telling, but we do know Daniel Cormier, if he wins, will for sure be getting stripped at UFC 230. So, this is just something interesting that was pointed out on the UFC's website. Cormier is listed, or well, light heavyweight champion is listed as to be determined. And shoot, that could be Cormier. If Cormier loses, then maybe Cormier slides into that to be determined slot. He gets his belt back. Who knows? So we'll see. But that's just something interesting I wanted to show you guys as well. But speaking of Cormier and UFC 230, man, we gotta take a little intermission. You guys know what time it is. UFC 230. Derek Lewis, Daniel Cormier, Black Beast, Rap Devil. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Somebody grab him some chicken. This fucking guy is fat. How the fuck he gonna beat me and Volkov just put this guy on his back? I hope you know no one is scared of you, especially not DC. And you can call me Daniel Cormier or Double Champ, just know you cannot beat me. And yeah, I'm talking to Lewis. If you wanna scrap, we can do this. I know that you're black, I know you're a beast.
I know that you're fat and you're stupid.
I'm back on my bullshit and lacking my cool. At UFC 230, I'll spaz on this fool. He's not gonna beat me cause he's lacking the tools. This nigga can't breathe when he's splashing the pool.
No cardio, ho.
And it's probably gonna show
when I take him down and I beat him up, cause it's all that I know. They call me Daniel Cormier, yeah, I'm coming to defend my title. If you think that he can beat me, then this motherfucker's psycho.
Bitch, I'm gone. I'm sick of your bad back and you're still fat, let's talk about it. I'm sick of you being black and
wearing MAGA hats, let's talk about it.
I'm sick of you getting smashed
then coming back, let's talk about it.
Or we can get dirty at UFC 230 and you can get sparked about it. I'm sick of your bad back and you're still fat, let's talk about it. I'm sick of you being black and wearing MAGA hats, let's talk about it. I'm sick of you getting smashed and then coming back, let's talk about it. Or we can get dirty at UFC 230 and you can get sparked about it.
UFC 230 going down November 3rd. 4 days from now, it's going down. Now, with that being said, that's UFC 230. UFC 233 is going to be 2019's first UFC pay-per-view and is going down head-to-head with Bellator in the same market. Now, in the same market, what I mean is, of course, I believe it's going to be not only on the same weekend, but in the same city, Anaheim, California, I believe. Bellator, a lot of their bigger shows, their biggest shows go down in Anaheim, California. Well, it looks like UFC 233 will also be going down in Anaheim, California. Bellator's card is going to have their World Heavyweight Grand Prix finals. The winner is going to be crowned the heavyweight champion of Bellator, Ryan Bader versus Fedor Emelianenko. Ryan Bader already the light heavyweight champion. If he can beat Fedor, he'll be Bellator's light heavyweight and heavyweight champion on his Daniel Cormier shit in Bellator. If he loses, Fedor gets crowned Bellator's inaugural heavyweight champion, which is possible as well. These guys made it to the finals through the heavyweight Grand Prix. That's going down the same weekend. It says UFC 233 will take place January 26th in Anaheim, California. And it says that same night is the finals Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix in Inglewood, California. So, UFC and Bellator, same state, same night, both in California. UFC 233. Now, of course, we have no clue who's on UFC 233 yet. There's been no talks of that. This is the first time I even heard it was in Anaheim, California. So, with that being said, it's interesting. You know, Bellator is going to be free that night, but same market. So, you know, as far as the live gate and where the fans are going to be, that'll be interesting that night. Who sold the most tickets? Now, you might think, oh, there's no way Bellator's competing with the UFC. Well, for one, we don't know how stacked this card's going to be. We don't even know the headliner yet. And so with that being said, Bellator, they're probably going to stack that show with their heavyweight Grand Prix finals. They're going to have some, so it'll be interesting, man. It'll definitely be interesting. And I actually think Bellator's probably been more committed to the California market. A lot of their biggest shows are in California. UFC goes everywhere around the fucking world. Their biggest shows are more committed to Vegas. So it'll be interesting. Just something to point out. Also, Anthony Smith explaining why he would rather fight the hittable Jon Jones next. I think he said he would have even rather fought Jon Jones than Volkan Ozdemir. Speaking with the MMA Hour with Luke Thomas, he said, I just took out the #2 guy in the world. I finished 2 former world champions back-to-back, and then the #2 contender. The #1 contender's fighting for the title, and I think that Daniel Cormier has all but left the division. I don't think that he's coming back to 205. I don't know who else would be in front of me. I don't know who else is a legitimate threat to either one of those guys, no matter who wins the title. You might be able to throw either Latifi in there, but if Gustafsson wins against Jon Jones, that's definitely out the window. So I genuinely believe that I'm the only legitimate threat to either one of those guys. And I'm finishing people. There's guys who are winning, but I'm finishing people. Anthony Smith, you know what I'm saying, calling his shot, trying to get that, make his case in this division where there's actually quite a few contenders, because we got Latifi versus Anderson coming up. And both of those guys are beating top contenders, and that was looked at as a title eliminator, potentially, of course, barring the Jon Jones-Gustafsson situation. That's, of course, the #1 contender likely. Actually, that's going to be likely for the belt. Who are they going to fight next? Who knows? They could fight one of these guys, the #1 contenders, or if Jones wins, and you know, there's a lot of shit that can happen. So we have to see how all that plays out. But either way, Anthony Smith is just finished the #2 contender, and with that being said, he's calling his shot, so he's shooting his shot for that next title shot. He said, I'd rather fight Jon Jones because no one has a legitimate win over Jon Jones, and that's the stuff that really gets me up. Pause. Deep down, I truly believe that I can beat Jon Jones, but deep down, pause, I know that I might not be able to, and that's what drives me. That's what motivates me. I've been thinking about Jon Jones since I've been at 205. It's never been about Shogun or Rashad or even Volkan. It's trying to get through as many people as I can to get to Jon Jones. People can say all that doubt is a bad thing, but I don't think that it is. I think doubt motivates people depending on who you are. I think that Jon Jones being the tallest task in the entire UFC will bring the best out of me, and I think that one of my biggest downfalls is that I tend to fight my opponent's level, and fighting up to my opponent's level is always going to be a positive. You hear people talk bad about fighting to someone's level when you're fighting down to them, but I think that I'm one of those guys that try to rise to the occasion when I need to, and I think that I would do the same with Jon Jones. And he went on to say that he thinks Volkan Ozdemir is actually a tougher matchup than Jon Jones. And Volkan Ozdemir, he thinks, is one of his toughest matchups in the division. He said, and this is Anthony Lionheart Smith, of course, who's now just beat Volkan Ozdemir, who he feels like is his toughest matchup. He said, I think Volkan is one of the tougher matchups for me in the entire division, just because of the way that he fights. I think that Jon Jones is less dangerous than Volkan is. Jon Jones isn't one punch knocking out anybody. That's just not his style. He's super crafty, he's dynamic. I think he has a high fight IQ, but I think he's hittable, and I think I like the matchup. I match up with him size-wise pretty well. Obviously, he's got a longer reach than everybody in the entire UFC, but I think that Jon Jones beats a lot of people in that short range with elbows and stuff, and I think I'm just as dangerous in that elbow fighting range as anybody in the entire division. So, with that being said, man, Gustafsson getting ready for a potential matchup with Jon Jones if he can win again, if he has to fight again. He just made a statement win. He's now finished, like he said, at light heavyweight, 2 former world champions, #2 contender. Now he's sitting pretty at the top of the light heavyweight division. There's Only a couple other people that might have something to say about his title shot. Of course, that being Daniel Cormier, either Latifi. Who knows? What if Anderson finishes Latifi, right? Then there's a finish, another top guy. Like, there's actually some legitimate light heavyweight contenders right about now between Anthony Smith, Latifi, Anderson, Gustafsson, Jones. So yeah, man. That being said, Ben Askren, fucking recently part of Dogs is Tripping. Dogs is Tripping. You done with the squeaky toy? You done? Why don't you guys bite each other, not the toy? Alright. Dogs ain't tripping no more. Ben Askren, part of MMA history. First trade, champion for champion. Demetrius for Ben Askren. Fucking opens up so many possibilities and doors. Pandora's box is open. It's like, holy shit. It's a holy shit time to be an MMA fan. I mean, Bellator, you could imagine their fucking think tank, their creative team, their department of whoever the fuck gets their fighters, their recruitment department, however they get their fighters right, are fucking thinking of all the possible trades, who they might want, who they've been looking to get rid of, who's been pissing them off low key, who can they look. Yeah, this dude, I don't like the way he's been talking, right? Like, here, y'all can have him, right? Like, I'm just, you gotta rub your hands together like Birdman just thinking about these trades. But this trade specifically, Ben Askren's coming over to the UFC, and he's already on Twitter lighting the whole roster on fire, looking for a potential matchup. Dana White said it's probably going to be a top 5 guy. The question is when. Well, with USADA, of course, there's always a policy that you have to go through a certain amount of months of testing if, you know, you're a guy that's not retired, or, you know, if you're retired. Now, there's ways that the clause can be waived and the testing period can be waived, as we saw when Brock Lesnar came back at UFC 200, and since he was technically like not on the UFC's roster or not a retired fighter because he retired like before USADA, he was eligible to have his testing period waived, which clearly was unfortunate because he failed the test. Well, with Ben Askren, he's also going to be eligible to have his test waived, his testing period through USADA. I don't think he's going to fail any tests, but Damon Martin on Twitter said, someone brought up USADA as a new athlete with no prior doping violations on his record. Ben Askren only has to be in the testing pool for 1 month to be eligible to compete, and even that can be waived if he takes a short notice fight. So if Ben Askren takes a short notice fight, they can waive that 1 month period. But even 1 month, that's not very long. That's not long at all. I mean, I'm pretty sure UFC 231 and 232 are pretty much almost filled up. So unless the UFC was going to put him on one of those, I mean, Ben Askren could fight before the end of the year. Maybe he fights at UFC 233. It's going down in California. We just heard a little bit about that. There's no fights on that card. And I'm sure people are going to be looking forward to Ben Askren's UFC debut. So we shall see. But as far as his testing period, nothing to worry about there. Alex Hernandez versus Justin Gaethje. I believe this fight was rumored or reported to already be in the works about, I think last week we heard. But now Alex Hernandez is calling out Justin Gaethje publicly, saying, I'll leave my foot in his you-know-what. Right now it's Gaethje. That's the guy who is available, said Hernandez. Everybody else is booked up. I would love to take out that guy. I know I'm the best, and I have to beat all these men to get to the top. I'm not going to discriminate against anybody. It doesn't matter their name, shape, or style. I just want a number. And if you guys don't know who Alex Hernandez is, by the way, let me fucking tell you. Alex, I think his nickname is The Great. Alex the Great Hernandez. Fucking savvy. And I don't mean savvy as in he's savvy with his skills. I mean savvy as in fucking savage. He is a savvy, not adjective. He's a savvy, a noun. He's a fucking savage beast. This dude, don't count him out. Even against Gaethje, some of you might be slacking on your UFC pimping, and you might not even recognize who Alexander who he is off the top of your head. But I'm telling you right now, he's the truth. And even if he lost to Gaethje, which is possible because Justin Gaethje's a fucking monster, Do not sleep on this kid. His UFC debut, he took on short notice against Beneil Dariush, knocked him out quick. A lot of people thought he faked the glove touch, and he wasn't. He just had his hand out, you know what I'm saying? Like, gauging distance. And so some people thought that was a glove touch because it was the beginning of the fight. And he came, BOW! Right over the top. Fight was over real quick. That was against a ranked opponent on short notice. Next fight, he goes to UFC Calgary. Takes on Olivier Aubin Mercier in Canada on the main card. Think he finished him. In Canada, Olivier Aubin Mercier at home, who's also a very fucking talented, dangerous fighter. Hernandez upset him, finished him at home. This kid is serious. Now he's potentially going to be fighting Justin Gaethje. I'm just saying, don't count him out. Do not sleep on him. He's a beast. Now, with that being said, he said, I'll leave my foot in his ass. That's the only piece of myself I'll leave behind. You already know the question that was asked, right? Because when you fight Justin Gaethje, you leave a piece of yourself in the octagon with him. It's always a war. It's always a memory. Justin Gaethje's a brawler. He always brings the fight to you. And so you're leaving some of yourself in there with Justin Gaethje. That's the expression, you know. It's almost like an honorable thing. You get to go in there and leave a piece of yourself in the octagon. Even potentially in MMA history, a lot of these, Justin Gaethje's been in a couple Fight of the Year contenders. So, so as far as what he plans on leaving behind in the octagon, I'll leave my foot in his ass. That's the only piece of myself I'll leave behind. Our fight would either be a complete highlight reel for me, or would be like all his other fights where it's certainly a brutal match. I think I can approach this fight more intelligently and stylistically diverse than his other opponents. I can make it a highlight reel for myself. I have a ton of respect for the guy. I know he's dangerous as fuck, so it could be a brutal war. Yo, and I can't tell you guys enough about this Alex Hernandez guy. He's like a fucking, the way he approaches the game, like I've spoke about this before, but after he knocked out a ranked opponent on short notice, you know, most fighters go crazy. Like, oh, shit! I did it! I can't fucking believe it! I'm in the UFC! I knocked him out! This dude wasn't even impressed with his own performance on the mic. Yeah, this is exactly how I envisioned it. This is just part of a higher plan, a higher purpose. I give all the credit to my team. Still a lot of things I need to work on. This is just part of a higher goal. Speaking like a damn sergeant and shit. Like, this kid is something serious, man. Something serious. Wasn't impressed with this UFC debut on short notice, knocking out a ranked opponent in a matter of minutes. Was not impressed. Fucking, this kid, I'm looking forward to Alex Hernandez's next fight. And the way he's breaking this fight down, whenever he says that he can approach, like, he really does, like, scientifically break down these fights. And as far as his process of cutting weight and everything, he approaches it scientific. He puts all the faith in his lab, and I believe he with the training lab with Sam Calvito and them, if I'm not mistaken. Dude is something serious, though. He said, a lot of people have trepidation toward taking certain matchups, especially against, like, me, who is young and coming up and have a lot more to lose than gain fighting me, based on me being new and on the scene and not having as big of a pool of popularity as other guys who have been around for a long time. Gaethje seems like a very game opponent. He's always been game to fight. He just needs time. I'm hoping he bucks up. Hopefully the UFC makes it happen. So we shall see. Just that's why he thinks Gaethje's the perfect fit. So, we will see, man. This is a fight for Gaethje. It's not the biggest fight. Gaethje's stock is really high in the UFC. Hernandez's stock is not as high. It's rising, but Gaethje's stock skyrocketed after some of his fights with the style that he brings and his knockout over James Vick even afterward. Gaethje's stock is really high, I think. And so if Gaethje takes this fight, you know, respect to Gaethje, but this is a fight that a lot of the guys at the top of the game would not take. This is one of those fights where it's a very high risk and a pretty low reward. But Hernandez is dangerous, so if Gaethje takes this fight, respect to him. But if he doesn't take this fight, I would not be surprised, because that's usually how guys, once they're at the top of the game and they have a high stock and they have, you know, once you're a big enough fighter, you're pretty much essentially like your own business, right? Like you're your own CEO. Like, so for Justin Gaethje's stock himself, this would not be a wise fight to take. But of course, it would be a great fight for the fans and stuff like that. But we shall see. We shall see. But Hernandez, dangerous. Looking forward to that Justin Gaethje fight if it does happen. Now, UFC Moncton, Ozdemir versus Smith had they set new Saturday primetime ratings low. Now, the World Series game was on. There was a lot of shit going. The NBA season, World Series was on. You got UFC. So yeah, there's reasons, but just pointing out that, you know, it was an all-time low, and possibly due to the World Series. You know what I'm saying? And I don't keep up with baseball definitely near as much as I do like the NBA or NFL. Now that I'm back watching both of those. By the way, if you guys haven't been listening, I'm pretty much back balls deep in the NBA and NFL. So yeah, I watch those again, and I be playing fantasy football and basketball now. We be cracking shit. So I don't know if I'll talk about that on here or not, but yeah. So I did see though, there was a baseball game, bro. Went to the fucking 18th inning. That's 2 baseball games, bro. Baseball games are 9 innings. One of those damn World Series games went to the 18th inning. That is crazy. It's like 2 in the morning or some shit. That is absolutely crazy. I saw that. But yeah, UFC Moncton had pretty bad ratings due to that, which is unfortunate, especially for Anthony Smith, who had fucking such a hell of a performance, dude. Like, that performance over Volkan Ozdemir, not a lot of people got to see it. Maybe they at least got the replay or something. They at least saw the result. But not only was there a lot of competition, it wasn't the most stacked card of the year, right? I mean, had a couple losses. The co-main event was Michael Johnson versus Artem Lobov, so wasn't the most stacked card of the year, and they were competing with the World Series. So just a little bit of news. Am I breaking up, or is it your laptop? I could be breaking up. That's a very real possibility. Doug Lewis's Khabib versus Zabit. Now that's a fight. Yeah, that would be crazy. Zabit's a little small for Khabib, but at the same time, we really haven't seen Zabit fight anybody at the level to say he would be able to keep up with Khabib, but it would be a fun fight. Thumbs up, best show on MMA. Thank you. Thank you very much, Doug Lewis. You, sir, are God amongst men. Stamina MC says, Hernandez with vocal clickbait, foot in the ass headline. It could be a war in the actual article. Forward says, am I the only one who thinks Gaethje should welcome Jose Aldo Jr. to the 155 division? That would be a pure fire. Yo, that would be heat. That would be heat. Battle of the fucking leg kickers too, right? Both of those guys. Vicious leg kicks. But I want to see McGregor fight Aldo at lightweight, bro. That'd be a good fight for McGregor. I don't know if he wants to take it or not. But yeah, either way. Another fight coming up. I found this interesting, so I figured I'd plug this into the show. Joe Schilling versus Jose Leja set for Bellator 210. Now, this is MMA. Joe Schilling, a kickboxer, of course, but I know he's been chilling with Mickey Gall for a while. I heard him on the Joey Diaz podcast, and I know they've been chilling for a while. I think Mickey Gall's been living with Yves Levine, Joe Schilling, and I think that's a great matchup as far as those guys training together. Joe Schilling, a kickboxer, Mickey Gall, a fucking ace with the jiu-jitsu, right? He shows Joe Schilling a little bit of the jiu-jitsu tricks. Joe Schilling gets Mickey Gall a little sharper with his kickboxing. How can you go wrong there? You just need, like, what, a wrestling coach, I guess, to mix it in, get him a fucking wrestling roommate. Maybe Yves can handle that. But yeah, Joe Schilling, I'm looking forward to see how he fights in MMA. He's already got great stand-up. Now he's probably going to be choking motherfuckers out. So he's set to fight at Bellator 210. Definitely looking forward to Joe Schilling's fight at Bellator 210. What date is that? November 30th at the WinStar World Casino. So about a month from now. Looking forward to Joe Schilling competing in MMA. And hopefully this is definitely an MMA fight and not a kickboxer. Yeah, his first MMA fight since June 2015. Oh yeah, let's fucking go. And I think that might be the last topic we got for the show, actually. That was quick. That feels really quick. How long has this show been going? 50 minutes? Damn, I don't even feel like we've been going for 50 minutes, guys. So yeah, with that being said, let's pull up the chat. I mean, shit, I guess if you guys want, we could do a panel. I see forward in here. Anybody want to? I mean, I only see forward as far as the normal panel members. Arpit, Stamina. If you guys got anything you guys want to get off your chest, you guys want to hop on and give some thoughts before we close the show, because that's really all we got for the show today. Ladies and gents, we can look at UFC 230 coming up this weekend. Look at this card, marvel a little bit. We already talked about this on yesterday's show, though. Let's see. Mr. Perfect says, that's what she said full time. Cameron says, it seems to be grand now. I think my laptop was updating or some shit. It's only new, so I hope that's all. Yeah, that's probably what it was. But yeah, man. Derek Lewis, Daniel Cormier, Weidman versus Jacare. Who you guys got in Weidman versus Jacare? Doesn't feel like we've been going for 50 minutes. I know, not at all. That's crazy. I was like, what the fuck? We've been going for like 20 minutes, right? But yeah, not a lot of MMA news. We got some fights coming up this weekend. Definitely going to be doing a fight companion for those. Make sure you guys are there for that. We'll be back for tomorrow's show. I got work tomorrow and Friday. I was going to work today, but my fucking girl had me take the day off because of some other shit, and she wanted to boom, go here, and okay, whatever. I'll work Friday and Thursday. Stamina, she says, ladies fight on Tough this week. Fuck all to talk about now, I don't feel. Yeah, man, tough. I need to get, man, I've watched like the first 3 episodes. I ain't seen them since then, but, well, what does that come on? I thought that came on Thursdays, or does Tough come on today, Wednesdays? I don't even know, man. It's been a few weeks since I caught up on that. Tough. Fuck that. Not into Tough anymore, says Cam Murphy. I definitely watched the Garbrandt and Dillashaw season. I watched a little bit of this one, but between work and this and that, not, I guess, piquing my interest as much as everything else, I haven't been watching this season. But either way, you guys, yeah, it is what it is, man. That's the show for the day. UFC 230 is coming up this weekend, but of course we'll have another live show tomorrow and Friday. We'll be talking about the MMA news, potentially looking at some upcoming fights that have been announced, and anything else. What happened to Dana looking for a fight, says Mr. Perfect. I believe that's only in the summer. I think that's a summer thing. Like, they do it for a few weeks. The Contender Series, it's like they only do it for like 1 season. My last full season was TJ Cody, says Ford. Me too, brother, me too. Fireworks everywhere, says Cam Murphy. Yes, ma'am. The thing to not do is watch it live. As a non-American, I can't get used to all the fucking advertisements, fucking incessant. Yeah, man, that's probably a good call. Go back, watch it, skip past all the damn advertisements. Thank you, and big respect, says Doug Lewis. Thank you, Doug Lewis. Thanks for stopping by the show, man. And thank you, everybody, if you're watching now. If you are watching on replay, if you are finished biting your bagels, do your boy a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Don't be a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, because baby back bagel biting bitch boys get no love around here. And with that being said, we're going to play some song because these are fun. What do we want to play, family? Any requests? Or should I, if I don't see a request before I pick one, then we'll just play one. Nope, not back. Despacito? Maybe Despacito? Panel Friday? Yeah, we'll definitely do a Panel Friday. Sounds like a good deal. I'll just fucking play Fire Snoop. It's been a while.
Yeah.
You know you fucked up, right?
Full time in the house. Let's get it. With so much drama in this day and age,
It's kind of hard being full-time MMA, but I somehow, some way, keep coming up with content for my hitters like every single day. Now let's get to this nigga Snoop.
Disrespecting McGregor, thinking that shit was cute.
Calling Conor a bitch, what the fuck does that make you? You ain't no big dog, old nigga, you a pooch. And keep it real, Conor didn't even fucking lose. Fooled the Mayweathers, made $1 million off them dudes. And that's in a pillow fight. Boxing ain't no real fight. How we get knocked out, still walk out looking like $1 million likes. Snoop, I think you sipping too much gin and juice, cause something's gotten into you. What the fuck you thinking? This ain't one of the dudes getting you paid. Now a lot of people don't like you. Got them on Twitter yelling
hashtag Fire Snoop. bitch. Full time in the house. Hey. Full time in the house.
Hey, it's motherfucking. You guys know what time it is? We got the Stockton Slaps Tony time. We gotta find that. We'll pull that up. Y'all want Tony time? We'll end the show with Tony time. We gotta get the Stockton Slaps. Let's see. Playlist. It's Tony time, bitch. I don't care who's fucking with me. Staying away from Timus was a struggle for Khabib. You don't wanna fight, you wanna cuddle with me. My elbows are knives and I'ma cut you with these. Yeah, I don't really give a fuck who's with me. If this fat fuck will make way to big mystery. If you were smart, then you would probably pick me. Oh wait, this is the very first one, I think. Oh, that's definitely not the right one. Alright, where we at? Where we at? Alright, I think it's on UFC Yankovic. Omega Low. We gotta go back to UFC Yankovic. Here we go. Tony time. Rogers. Yeah, they wish and they wish and they wish and they wish and they wishing on me. Yeah, yeah.
It's Tony time.
I don't care who. Yeah, yeah.
Staying away from tiramisu's a struggle for Khabib. You don't wanna fight, you wanna cuddle with me. My elbows are knives and I'ma cut you with these. I don't really give a fuck who's with me. If this fat fuck will make way to big mystery. If you were smart, then you would probably pick me. To submit Khabib at UFC 223. To submit Pettis at UFC 229. Tony time. Tony time.
I knock out, sometimes I choke. I might be the lightweight goat.
If my leg
didn't get broke,
would have probably
be Khabib.
Then moved up and fought with Lee.
Either wait for GSP.
You don't wanna mess with me.
Tony time.
Tony time. I knock out, sometimes I choke.
I might be the lightweight goat. If my leg didn't get broke,
would have probably beat Khabib.
Yeah, yeah.
At UFC 223. Then moved up and fought with Lee. Either way for GSP.